So if you understand that you are gorgeous, you are intelligent, you are responsible, you are loving, you do not need at all to confine, to constrict, or to complain. Rather, you speak up, you take courses that matter, and then you take your place in leadership and shine. Tell your neighbor, shine. So now we've spoken about your identity, we're speaking about your voice. And I'm not going to dwell so much on it because Her Excellency, the wife of the governor of Abia State, has spoken so much on that. And I think that state deserves a round of applause. I listened very keenly to the achievements that have been made to the empowerment of girls. Please, we deserve a round of applause for that state. Make it louder. So, as girls, we must realize that our voices are beyond the sound they project. Rather, it's a representation of truth, power, and authority to make a difference. So, how powerful is your voice? Ask your neighbor, how powerful is your voice? Good. The first thing I want you to know is, as girls, your voice are valuable. Your voices are valuable. Your voices are valuable. Your voice carries ideas, truth, and solutions that the world is waiting on to get. Secondly, your voice is original. Your voice is, what did I call the first thing that your voice is? Valuable. Thank you. Your voices are original. You don't need to copy anybody. I've said it. Social media should not be the basis of who you are or who you want to be, because in yourself is that seed of originality. You don't need to copy anyone because your uniqueness is your influence. We all are unique in our different ways. For some people, they can sing, some people can dance, some people can act, some people can speak, and some people can be very quiet, but help us think deeply. So whatever place you find yourself in the personality stream, please know that our uniqueness is our influence. Thirdly is that our voices are influential. People want to listen to girls talk. People want to hear what is in your mind. Because why? Your voices can actually shift mindsets. They can encourage others and challenge the status quo. Why does your voice matter? Your voices are courageous. You speak when even it's not easy. I know girls that will say, I will still say my mind whichever way. Have you heard girls say that? Have you heard girls say that? I will say my mind even whichever way. Have you heard people say that? Yes. I know that when it's not even easy, you still speak. Because I know that society has a way of limiting girls, limiting females generally, to say, oh, let the boys speak. But whichever way, you still speak. And so, when it's not easy, you still speak, because you know that silence is not the option. And silence means agreement with limitations. And lastly, your voices are empowering. Your words don't just speak to people or speak for yourself, but your voice has the capacity to speak around for people. This is my charge to you on this. When you use your voice as a girl with confidence, you stop being part of the noise. You start leading movements. How many of us are shifting from being a noise? How many of us are deciding to shift from being a noise? Because when your voice counts, you start to lead movements. Now, where can you use your voices? Because people may ask, okay, I have this voice. You said my voice is beyond the sound it gives. It's about influence, truth, and authority. So where can I use my voice as young girls? Girls can use their voices at schools and social circles, at public platforms, and most importantly, when you say public platforms, please note that all age-appropriate online platform for girls. Age-appropriate online platform for girls. Advocacy spaces. You speak up for causes, you speak in your different communities, you speak up for campaigns, like for example, End FGM. You can't speak up to that. End bullying. Those are campaigns that you can actually lend your voices to. And then you can also speak at your faith-based organizations to you, where you express your faith and your values. My charge to you here is your age can choose the platform to which your voice can be heard from, but note that your age cannot stop how far that voice can travel. How many of us know Malala? She was quite a young girl when she started education advocacy. Yes, she may not have been given the platform to speak at several places then because of her age, but her voice traveled far the world. So if your age restricts you from speaking at certain platforms, the age cannot stop your voice from traveling far. So how does your voice become value? Now that you understand that your identity is critical and you carry a voice that can be used as a tool to actually change the world, it is therefore important to know that you need to transform your voice to become value. Your voice isn't just for words, it's for creating value, lasting, leading change, and inspiring positive action. How then do you turn your voice into value? One, guide the things you say. Guide the things you say. Like what they say, on the internet, they're all happy to go online, even including myself, AAA. But the truth is, whatever goes online stays online. Have you heard that? Whatever goes online, what? Even when you delete it, someone can still find it out. So ensure that you guide the things you say, you guide your actions, you inspire your action through personal stories, and the president of the United Nations Association of Nigeria has spoken about that. We all have personal stories. We have stories of friends, relatives, young girls around us who are making a difference in spite of all odds. Share their stories. Validate people with a lot of love and empathy. Show empathy. Don't say, if I was the one, I would have done it better. No, that's lack of empathy. We need as girls to support each other, validate each other, and most importantly, we need to engage our giftings. We all carry a treasure inside of us. We all carry a treasure inside of us. And my charge to you on this particular presentation, on this slide, is that your voice can start change. But when you add your gifts to it, you can transform communities. Are you ready to transform your communities? Are you ready to transform your communities? Good. So how then do you transform your communities by engaging your gift? One is you need to grow your gifts. We all have skills, talents, things that we do naturally, that comes to us naturally. So for someone like me, I discovered that I could speak to people naturally as a very young age. In fact, at home they call me telephone without battery, radio without wire. It was a way of saying you can talk. But today, I earn a living and I live on purpose talking. So we all need to understand that whatever we can do easily, that people applaud us for, or sometimes people even envy us for, is an indication of the kind of gifts we have. And so it's important that we grow our gifts as girls, and we need to grow it through continuous learning. If you have access to the internet, don't just use it for social purposes. Use it to learn. There are online courses that have been done free. Now, knowledge is without restriction. So grow your gifts through continuous learning, practice, and mentorship. Very, very important. There's an African adage that says that what a child will see while standing, if an adult sits down, you will see further than that. So no matter how much you know, you need someone to help you, guide you through. Seek for true mentorship. Invest your giftings. Invest it through making sure that they are more refined. They are more refined to actually, through dedication, hard work, and consistency. Whatever you start to do, if you want to be a professional at doing it, you need to continue to do it. And you know what? People do not pay for giftings that are just being... People pay for value. People request for value. So as young girls, please invest in your gifts. Ensure that continuous use of it makes it better. Also, we need to focus on the usage, like I said, to add meaningful value. If they say you talk too much, start a podcast to add value. If they say you know how to act, start doing skits that add value. If they say you know how to sing, start writing songs and singing to heal people. That is how you can actually, focus on the usage of your giftings to add meaningful value. And lastly, what is the essence of a gift that is not used to transform your community? That gift placed inside of you is a seed that is supposed to bring out fruits for your community. So transform your giftings into community use by creating change, serving others, very important. Serving others, not be the three evil spirits, me, myself, and I. Everything is just about me. No. Serve yourself, serve others with your giftings, and ensure that you commit to making a difference. You know what? Your voice can actually open the door for you. I'm almost done. Thank you. Your voice can actually open doors for you, but your gifts move you beyond the door to give you a seat at the table. So bring together your gifts and your voice and ensure it makes a difference. So I'm going to conclude with a story, because UNICEF, we program for the girl child in different ways, but one of our main programs is ending female genital mutilation. And so just please go ahead with me. Give yourself that mental cap right now. So meet Jolie, a young girl living in a small village in Oyo State. She realized that in her village, female genital mutilation was a major problem. She became very sad because she was caught, and she witnessed her younger sisters being caught. And she said, no, I would not keep silent. Instead of complaining, instead of confining myself to regret, I would take a chance on myself to change that course. So she went out, began speaking to one or two people. One person said, no, you are too small. Your mother was caught. You were caught, and who are you? But she did not get deterred by that. She moved ahead to 2 other people, 3 other people, and suddenly, from 1 person, she got 5. Suddenly, from 5, she got 50. And today, a whole community has decided to drop that practice of FGM. Because why? Jolie, a small girl in an interior village in Oyo, decided to use not just her voice, but her giftings to advance the world for good. So this is my summary. Be like Jolie. Tell your neighbor, be like Jolie. Speak. Call out what is wrong. Be the voice that sparks change. Act. Don't just speak alone. Act. Use your giftings. Start something, no matter how small. You're not too small to make a difference. And thirdly, lead. Remember, change doesn't start around you. Change has to start with you, because your voice, your gifts, and your movement can make a lot of difference to the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. Please, another round of applause for her. That was a powerful one. How powerful is your voice? Your voice is really important. Your voice is very powerful. Your voice is valuable. Your voice is original. Okay, so let's just do a quick one. She gave us, so the girl, GIRL, has like, so can we all say it together? G is for, I cannot hear you. G is for, we just spoke about voice. I want it to be louder than this. G is for, beautiful. I is for, R is for, L is for, beautiful. So we are going to do this now. We'll start with I am G. I am gorgeous. I am intelligent. Do you understand the flow? So let's do it together. All students, please rise. Are you ready? Okay, so let's get to it. 1, 2, 3. I am gorgeous. I am. I don't like this energy. Give me energy. Do you want to live here today? We are girls and we are powerful. We have powerful voice. When we talk about voice, it should be louder than this. I don't want this. I am. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Clap for yourselves. That takes me back to what the permanent secretary said earlier during her session. Please sit. She said something about, let your courage and determination mark the path for others. So if you have a voice, you should be courageous to speak up. Right? You should be courageous to say the right things. You should be courageous to stand for the truth. You should be courageous to say things that you were not bribed for or you were not paid to say. Say things as they are. Thank you all so much. Thank you, our speaker. So we're going to the next guest speaker, Mr. Daniel Kuhe, Senior Procurement and Supply Specialist, United Nations World Food Programme, Chairman of the UN Procurement Network in Nigeria. Mr. Daniel Kuhe is a Senior Procurement and Supply Specialist with the United Nations World Food Programme and Chairman of the UN Procurement Network in Nigeria, coordinating strategy across 23 UN agencies with over 70 years of experience, managing supply chains worth over $5.6 billion across WFP, ICRC, USAID's JSI, and the private sector. He brings extensive expertise in humanitarian and public health logistics. A chartered member of both the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport UK and the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply UK. Mr. Daniel holds a master's in procurement logistics and supply chain management from the University of Salford. Passionate about inclusion and empowerment, he has championed initiatives such as the Women Entrepreneurs Symposium and the Persons with Disabilities Business Forum, while mentoring young entrepreneurs to become leaders and change makers. Please, let's give a round of applause for Mr. Daniel Kuhe. Is he here or is this supposed to be online?
I'm online. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay. Yes, we can.
Okay. Good afternoon. Allow me to stand on already existing protocols. Good afternoon, Her Excellency, the wife of the Governor of Abia State. Thank you for what you do. Let me see if we can project my screen. I'm going to go straight to business. Let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, so thanks for the introduction. I'm going to go straight into business greetings from Abuja. I'm the chair, like I already said, of the Nigerian UN Procurement Network. I'll be talking about building a business, leading change. Building a business, leading change. My introduction have already been said, so I wouldn't waste much time on the. Sorry, let me minimize this. So you can see my screen very well. Yeah, so basically the UN Procurement Network is one of the United Nations pillar to execute its business operations strategy in delivering and achieving its 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Procurement Network comprises of over 25 UN agencies, and it focuses on the joint business operations across the UN for the purpose of eliminating duplications, leveraging the common bargaining power of the UN, and maximizing economies of scale. So annually, across the UN procurement, we carry out procurement over billions, 5 billion thereabout, and we save, with the initiative of the UN Procurement Network, we're able to save millions in efficiency gain as the UN Procurement Network. So somebody might be asking, how many, what of these UN agencies, what are they? So you have ILO, IOM, OCHA, UNHCR, UNAIDS, UNDP, UNDSS. This is the list. Because of time, I won't go through it. So there are a lot of opportunities here. So I'll advise every girl in the room to look at these opportunities. Like I already said in my introduction, currently in 2023, the UN Procurement Network had a symposium of over 100 women. Last year, we had a symposium with persons with disability physically. And this year, currently, we're having a virtual program. We have a platform of about 1,300 women that are connecting. And we are taking them through the step-by-step business process of doing business with the UN as a vendor. The age group of this women and persons with disability across 20, 25, 30, we have 64-year-old just trying to find out the opportunities in this sector. So if you're here, you're less than 20 as a girl, this is a huge opportunity. The time will be short, but basically the host have promised that there's going to be a cohort where we also guide girls. And one of our work plan for next year is to target youth. So we're targeting youth, girls, boys, and we're guiding you on how to do business with all these UN agencies in Nigeria. So the question you should ask yourself now is, where do I belong? Okay, as a girl, if you're wondering, you might be thinking, am I too young to do business with the UN? Okay, I am 12, I'm 13, I'm 14. I started doing business when I was 16. So it's possible. So instead of thinking of telling daddy, mommy, I want to go out to the beach, I want to eat shawarma, start thinking about the possibility of having your business registered. Is it possible? Okay. Sorry, my slides are not moving fast. So you might be asking yourself, what are the opportunities, procurement opportunities in the UN? So under the general procurement, we have office supplies, IT equipment, communication equipment, furniture, health and safety equipment, facility maintenance, vehicle and transport, translation and interpretation, shipping and logistics. We have agri inputs, food, education materials, medical equipment, and pharmaceuticals. The list is very long. I just compressed it. So you might be asking, what can I do? So you can pick up any of these categories and start working towards having a company that can be a vendor under each of these categories. So somebody might be asking, so what next for me? As a girl who is 13, a girl who is 14, 15, how can I position myself of becoming a UN supplier? I will take you through it. First, you have to be aware, okay? Participating in this session and other sessions, it's a way of being aware. It doesn't stop there. You also have to be willing. Are you willing? Out of the 1,500 women we are mentoring, one of the attitudes we observe is that people are excited about the information, they are aware, but they are not willing to put in the work. So it doesn't stop by being aware. You have to be willing to put in the work. Secondly, you have to know the UN procurement best practices. What are the best practices of the UN? You also have to look at fostering collaboration. So you might say, okay, I'm not good in this part, so who should I collaborate with? So I believe girls in the room now, you're talking to each other, you're collaborating, thinking about now the UN has come with a lot of opportunities. How can we come together, bring our expertise, and do business? Like I said, you're not too young. In fact, the CSC registration for business name doesn't have age limitation. You can register your business name even as 15, 16-year-old. So it's possible to have a business, it's possible to have a company and start something. 4, you get empowered with necessary tools. So you ask yourself that what tools do I need? Do I have an email? Do I have a laptop? There are tools now like AI. There are a lot of AI tools that will help you do a business plan. AI tools to help you build a website. There are AI tools that would help you complete your proposals, do your complimentary card. These days now, you don't even need a graphic designer to produce a complimentary card or a flyer. So you need to build a capacity, have those tools. And 5, like I said under my slide, you're not too young. Start small. Begin in your neighborhood. Begin with your friends. Begin with your family. I remember when I was 17 or so, I was making jerseys, and my first client was my elder brother. I sold him jerseys, and through that, I was able to also sell to his friends. So you can start small, you can start a clean company, and even start with your neighbor and say, can I come and clean your house, and you pay me a little, no matter, even though it's 1,000, even though it's 2,000, 5,000, and try to talk to them and see how you would take advantage of every opportunity. You start with your friends, start small. It's very important because it adds to your confidence, it adds to your professionalism, and it's also it adds to the future success. I will tell you why. When you do this, please do not just use your mouth and just say, oh, give me the contract and do it and receive cash in hand. You have to build the profile of the company. Even though it's a 5,000 naira company contract, ask them to give you a contract. Even though it's one pager, something very simple. Okay, they give me a contract. So I'm supposed to be coming to clean your house once a week or twice a month. Have a contract and let it be on letter-headed paper. This is very important because you will need it in the future for references. So you're not too young to start. You're not too young to have a company. Please start. So what is required? You have to register as a vendor. You have to review the UN procurement notices. We have notice boards like the UN General Market. It's online. You can be checking for opportunities there. And you must start with the UN, okay? But you can also go there just to give you an idea of what the UN is all about and what we have available. So you understand the UN procurement procedures. Our cohort after this presentation and the future will make you understand the procedure. We're here to always help. You have to also comply with the UN vendor requirements. You have to submit the required documentation. You have to attend vendor information sessions, build capacity. I mentioned that already, and your expertise. Participate in small business initiatives, maintain compliance and transparency. You have to maintain that. So this is what your documents go through. This is a circle. Once you submit an expression of interest, we look at the documents, you go through this. This slides will be available, so let me know which time here. I'll talk about the UN General Market. So this is an online platform where all the UN agencies are present. So they post their available opportunities for procurement. So you can go there, just type UN General Market, Global Marketplace. So you're able to see what's available there and just get familiar with what the UN does. So these are the minimum requirements. So you need to have a commodity. Make up your mind from the list of what I shared. I'm sure a girl now in the hall is start thinking, so what should I do? What area of interest do I want to participate with the UN? Okay, do I want to be a catering vendor? Do I want to be a cleaning service vendor? Do I want a car hire business? So first you have to decide on the commodity or service you want to participate with the UN agencies. You need to have legal capacity to enter into contract, which is a CAC. You have to get your business registered. So talk to mommy, talk to daddy that you're thinking about having your own company. You can have your business name. For limited liabilities, probably maybe you can be a shareholder, but business name you can always register. There are no age limits for business name registration. So you need to have 3 years of experience in what you're doing. You remember I said every experience counts. So you have 13 now and you start something, in the next 3 years, you already have this 3 years experience. So imagine right now we're guiding women of 65, 70, how to do business. So if you're less than 20, you have age on your side, you have a lot of opportunities. If you're 15, 13 now, in the next 5 years, you already have your 5 years experience. And, you can always use that as a reference. And that's why I wanted you to always have a contract, because you need that for your documentation. You also need to show proof of financial capacity. That's why I want you to start thinking of, once you register, you have to open a business account. So you need to provide at least 3 trade references. So every contract you're signing within your friends, your family, it will count at the point of registration. Even though it's a one-pager contract, you need it to, in the future, 2-3 years from now, you would have some contracts to show that, yes, I did, even though it's 5,000 hour contract, even though it's 15,000 hour contract, it's a reference point. It shows that you've been doing something, you've been busy. So you're also going to be accepting our UN General Supplier Code and general conditions for contracting. So the list is long. So it's very important. And one of the, I said you're very fortunate and you're blessed to be having this exposure, because one of the things we check at the UN is that we check if you're not sanctioned. Okay, so before we go into any business with a vendor, we have a website we check to ensure that you are not on any global terrorist list. You're not sanctioned by anybody. You're not committed any crime. So if you're, as you're seated here, you have to watch the kind of friends you have. You have to watch the kind of engagement you have. You ensure that you don't have any police case, you don't have anything that will indict you in the future. Not engage in any fraud, corruption, or any sharp practices, because in the future it will hurt you. Please always watch your life. So being a business person in the UN is like, if you're young now, it's like you're building or writing your book. So ask yourself, ask your friend in the hall, what book do you want to write for yourself? In the future, if your name or your business name is searched under our platform for sanction list, is my name going to be there? Tell your friend, no, 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 I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be there. So start thinking that I have that in your mind. If you don't have anything, if you didn't get anything today, tell yourself that I am writing a story. As a girl, I am writing a story. I want my transactions to be clean. I want my records to be clean so that it won't affect me in the future. So we have zero tolerance for corruption, coercion, collusion, fraud, forced labor, human trafficking, sexual exploitations, and unethical practice. So thank you very much, and I hope you did learn something today. Thanks for the host. We're going to be having cohorts who will guide you step by step. We're here to always support you, and I'm sure you would benefit and you will thank yourself in the future for this exposure and this opportunity. Thank you again for the host, and bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. I think that was very enlightening for the girls. I'm very sure.
Thank you very much, sir. That was really inspiring. I really enjoyed this particular session. It was talking about business. So he's trying to tell us that age is not a limitation to how far you can go and what you can achieve. Who says at this age you cannot have a business of your own or a business registered in your name? You can. So let's not, like I said earlier, the space is very wide for everyone to fly. So decide if you want to fly or you want to crawl. So let's take advantage of this opportunity and try to start up something for ourselves. Let's give the speaker a round of applause again. Okay, so we'll be going to the first panel session. And it's going to be on skills and empowerment, preparing girls for tomorrow's opportunity.
Hello. We have Zubaida online, so she needs to give a short remark before we go into the panel.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Can I be heard?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much for giving UNFPA this space to make a very short remark. I'll introduce myself. My name is Dr. Zubaida Abubakar. I'm the Gender GBV Management Specialist, and I head the Adolescent and Gender Unit here in UNFPA. So Excellencies, Honorable Members, and distinguished guests, thank you very much. UNFPA is just really here to say that we really are a girl-oriented agency. We believe in allowing the potential of young girls to flourish. But while she's doing that, we really believe that she needs to be protected, to be respected, and really to be allowed to harvest her aspirations for her future and encouraged to have her rights and her choices protected. But we know that in many, many cases, this is not possible. And I know for many of the young girls there, they've either heard of girls that have been harassed, girls who've had to drop out of school, girls who are survivors of female genital mutilation, and many other gender-based violence issues. Unfortunately, although Nigeria's population of 31% is about adolescents and young people, we know many, many of us face these terrible things. And while young people are experiencing this violence and conflict, young people lose your access to education, to healthcare, and to other critical services that are really there to protect your well-being. And we believe that for a girl to flourish, to become an entrepreneur, like the last speaker spoke, to be the doctors, the lawyers, the presidents, the governors, the pilots, and any other path that you choose for yourself, we need to be there to support you. And honestly, UNFPA is there. to believe in you, and to support you, working with other young youth-led organizations, working with partners such as the other sister UN organizations, but also non-governmental organizations. So as we're celebrating this event as part of the International Day of the Girl Child, we want to celebrate you. We know you're resilient. We know you can do it. All you need is the support from us, not to tell you how to do it, but to hold your hands and to guide you, because you have been showing remarkable capacity to do things, to create your solutions for yourself. And we celebrate you today and always. So UNFPA continues to stand by you and congratulates you and wishes each one and every one of you the very best. And we hope that your potential will be fulfilled in life. So good luck and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. I will look forward to working with you as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Okay, so we'll be going to the first panel session for today. The topic for this panel session is Skills and Empowerment, Preparing Girls for Tomorrow's Opportunities. The focus is education, digital skills, vocational training, mentorship, and leadership. And to be on this panel session, our first panelist, Mrs. Aderinsola Amobi Daniel, Program Coordinator, LEAP Africa. Mrs. Aderinsola is passionate about driving positive change and enhancing gender inclusion, leadership, and youth empowerment across Africa. As LEAP Africa's first gender advisor, she leads the development and implementation of the organization's gender and inclusion strategy and provides expert guidance on gender-related issues. And the next is Mrs. Lizzie Adeboyejo, Executive Director, Asani and Aduke Foundation. Mrs. Lizzie is a visionary cultural entrepreneur and advocate for women and youth empowerment. She's the Executive Director of the Asani and Aduke Foundation, Director at ATJ Textiles, and convener of the National Adire and Cultural Festival, recognized as an international festival by the German Corporation in 2024. Our next panelist, Mrs. Oyedamola Egbeyemi, Director of Programs and Coordination of Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Mrs. Oyedamola is a Director of Programs and Coordination at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, where she leads the implementation of financial and non-financial interventions. She holds a master's in chemical engineering from Imperial College London and is an alumni of the Lagos Business School Owner Manager Program. Our next, okay, so these are the three panelists we have on this session, and the moderator for this session is Ms. Afolabi Toluwanimi. If you are here, please come and moderate this session.
No, Dami is supposed to be on that session. Damilola Feide is on that session. And she's present. And we also have Busola Odusoya on that panel.
Okay, Mrs. Damilola and Mrs. Busola. I don't have their profile here. Sorry. Afolabi Toluwanimi, moderator, please.
Good day, my reputable guest. My name is Arilogu Victoria from Supreme Education Foundation School, and today it's a privilege to be in your midst as the moderator of this August session, where we have to go through vital issues, bothering skills, and economic empowerment. I must also express my happiness that you are selected carefully from plectorial sections where you have optimally made your marks. The focus for this session is how can we equip girls with skills, conference, and opportunities to lead economic change. And here with me are two sectors of questions, the general opening questions and the panelist specific questions. And I will start from the general opening questions, which will be answered from my left to the right. My fellow panelists, I would like to beg on Mrs. Oyindamola Egbeyemi's behalf. I want to ask all our questions at once because she has an urgent meeting to attend to, and she has stayed here this long because she loves us and values us. So, Mrs. Egbeyemi, I would like to ask you your question now. Okay. The first question is coming from the general opening question, and your question is, many girls have dreams, but lack access to mentorship or guidance. In your experience, what are the most effective ways to bridge that gap?
Thank you very much. That's a very important question. I am a girl who had dreams, and I think I'm living some of my dreams now, and what I would say has been effective is having a supportive environment. And I know I'm saying that because I've been lucky and blessed to have one, but in today's age, there's a plethora of networks that are available to girls, starting from your family, your friends, your classmates, and even the school network. I'll give an example. When I was in secondary school, I wasn't necessarily the most popular girl. I am still a nerd. I wanted to say that I was a nerd, but I still very much am. I'm very proud to be one. So I had this experience where I was not necessarily liked by fellow students because I was a teacher's pet. I was a favorite. But what I leveraged on was, one, my family support. My mom was very, very supportive. But even if my mom was not there, I found teachers who would, help me when I needed help. We had a guidance counselor, and I'm glad that, schools these days have a direct focus to ensuring that children are supported. This is very, very important to let people know that whatever it is that you dream can become a reality, and your dreams are never too big. I'm still telling myself that every day, that my dreams are not too big. Having those support systems is extremely important. And you never stop having those systems. You always need to seek the right help that you need. Find people who have similar experiences to you. It might be your senior at school, probably, like I said, a guidance counselor, a teacher, your principal. It could even be a peer, one of your friends who keeps you accountable. In fact, the flight I'm about to catch is as a result of a friend of mine who said, Oyin, there's a certain network that you need to be a part of. You must join that network. And luckily, she's someone who follows up and follows through and keeps me accountable. So there are many ways you can do it. I think also being vocal about what you want to do to people that you trust is quite important. And the journey never stops. It doesn't stop while you're a girl. It continues when you're a woman, become an older woman, and an adult, a grandma. You always need to seek the right support so that your dreams become a reality. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Egbeyemi, for that wonderful answer. So your next question is coming from the panelist specific question, and the question is, government-backed initiatives like Lagos State's Empowerment Trust Fund have the power to transform local economies. This question I'm about to ask seeks to understand how such programs are integrating gender-sensitive approaches to ensure that young women benefit from available financial training support. The question is, how is the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund supporting girls and young women to access funding, training, and entrepreneurship opportunities?
Thank you very much for that question and for highlighting the importance of women empowerment in economic development. Now, in Nigeria, we're in a unique situation whereby
majority of our economy is in the informal sector, and half of us in Nigeria are women, and half of us are voters. There are many ways you can look at women empowerment that would lead to economic development. The Lagos State Employment Trust Fund is quite keen on ensuring that. One initiative that I started this year was having a relationship with the Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. And that was very, very important to me because I'm a woman. My mother is a woman. She's she's an entrepreneur. And I know the challenges that she went through in running her business, from financial challenges to even psychological challenges. Sometimes women, we don't even realize that we have so much potential. Some women don't even know that they're entrepreneurs. So at LSCTF, we do have an access to finance program, but we're also realizing through that relationship that access to finance, and by access to finance I mean loans, business loans, and grants that people can use to start and run their businesses. But we found out that some people don't even need the money. All they need is the formalization, the structure, capacity building. So right now we're having that discussion to change the structure of that engagement so that we're meeting women at their needs. Because to be honest, women, if you check pretty much any statistics on women, our return on investment is higher than that for men. I'm not saying that men don't do well, but women, because of our nature, because we're caregivers, we actually do things from a point of view of passion, a point of view of care, of taking care of the next generation. Biologically speaking, that is our nature. How can we leverage that and turn that into businesses, into economic development? The informal economy of Lagos, there are about 5.5 million people who are in that space. Half of them are women. About 45% of the GDP in Nigeria is contributed by the informal. The informal sector has potential to contribute 45% to the GDP of Nigeria, and women are there. So why don't we leverage our strengths? That's statistics on the return on investment from women-led businesses and economic growth. Very, very important. So that is something that I always have in mind in program design at LSCTF. Many things that we're doing around exports, export readiness for women businesses. There's an organization that I'm connecting with, African Business Stories. I don't know if anybody knows about it, but the focus is literally supporting women with formalizing their businesses, getting the right tools, digital tools, capacity development to ensure that they're export ready and they are showcasing in the world, because we have a lot to show. Thank you very much for that question.
Okay, thank you so much,
I have to run now.
Okay.
Thank you
So,
much.
ladies and gentlemen, can we please excuse Mrs. Egbeyemi for her flight? Yeah, thank you so much, ma. Any questions needed for her should be written on a paper and passed forward later. Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause as she leaves. Okay, I would like to ask the general opening questions, and it's going to start from the right side to the left side. Yeah.
Can you take it again? Okay. Benefit of all of us. Yeah, the opening question. Please take it again.
The questions.
The
Okay.
general one. Yeah.
The future, this is another question for you, ma'am. So the future of work is changing rapidly. What skills do you believe are non-negotiable for girls to thrive in the modern economy?
Well, first of all, let me say that I'm deeply honored to be here joining this conversation. Of course, my name is Busola Odusoya, and just a quick overview, since she didn't have my bio. Really, my journey has taken me from studying law. So I am a lawyer. I studied law at the University of Lagos, went to the Nigerian Law School, graduated with distinctions, and then I earned an LLM degree from Harvard Law School, Harvard University in the United States. I worked in a top law firm in Nigeria. I also
spent about 17 years in ExxonMobil in Nigeria, where I advised on legal and compliance matters across various high-stakes domains. But beyond all of that, I truly believe that the gifts given to us by God are not just for our own personal success, but we're supposed to leverage those gifts in collaboration with others so that we can really have collective impact. So, and if I look back, even before University of Lagos, the four walls of a school called Queen's College in Yaba, I'm sure that most of you here would have heard about Queen's College. It's an institution that is built on excellence and is really meant to be like a launch pad for women, for young girls. You know, Queen's College makes you believe that you can go out there and literally change the world. So that is where my secondary journey started, and I thought it was important for me to share with all of you young ladies who are here today. But one of my earliest memories of mentorship impact actually took place when I was an almost fresh student at Queen's College. I quickly became, like many teenagers, I kind of veered off course somewhat. I became one of the chief noisemakers. I started seeking validation of my friends, really through laughter. And what would they be laughing about? They would be laughing about my shenanigans in class. So I got into trouble quite a few times, and I'm being very honest here, you know. But there was a teacher, my literature teacher in Queen's College, Mrs. Akisomi. She took an interest in me, in my future, in my development. And one day, after one of my shenanigans, she firmly pulled me to her office for a chat. And in that chat was an imprint. An imprint was laid on me, and I carry that imprint till today. What did she do? She helped me to see that I could become a woman of excellence, that I could become a woman of impact. She allowed me to see that I was much more capable than my antics, you know, the antics and the shenanigans I was getting into at that time. And that really is the power of a mentor, right? A mentor can correct you, a mentor can connect with you, and can literally speak life into your life. And so I'm really excited to be here today. From what the First Lady said to the other keynote speakers, the other guest speakers, I was very happy to hear that this meeting today, or this workshop, is not just about talking, but is about actions. And so whenever I have an opportunity, I want to teach, I want to mentor, I want to collaborate with people who are building platforms that will actually get girls. And for me today, it is all of you seated here. You need to be able to see that you can do, you can be, you can rise above whatever it is that is your challenge or your current situation. You can do it. So now to the question really about how do we bridge the gap? How do we bridge that gap? Well, it's really what girls need is consistent exposure to possibilities. Because as long as you have possibilities, and people have said that already today, if you can see it, you can do it. And one of the best ways of doing that is what we have here today. So I've told you that I went to Harvard. I'm sure you've heard about Harvard, right? And why did I even start dreaming about going to Harvard? Somebody actually mentored me. So I had a student who was my senior at the University of Lagos. She was about 2 or 3 years ahead of me. And first of all, she made me want to excel in Unilag. She made me want to excel in law school. She actually gave me actionable tips. She told me, there's nobody that is, I don't really believe in, people are brilliant. We're all brilliant. We're all intelligent. When you hear people say someone is brilliant or someone is intelligent, what it usually means is that that person has been consistent. That person has been consistent. That person has been working, right? And what you then see as the output of what they're doing is what we then call brilliance. So I want to assure you that there's none of you here who wants to go to Harvard that cannot get there. And please, when you get there, remember to tell me that you did.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I really took a lot from what you said today. So moving on to the next question. Beyond formal education, how can vocational and technical training empower girls to become self-reliant leaders?
Thank you. Again, it's really wonderful to be here, obviously as a woman, but just for what this really represents. Again, our bio wasn't kind of read, so I would say, because I think it would bring context to how I'm going to answer. So my name is Damilola Feide. So I'm here wearing like two different hats. I'm the SME head at Providus Bank. So I work in SME strategy and development, basically helping businesses prosper, entrepreneurships. On the other hat, I actually own a school. I think I already fought to someone. I was like, why are my girls not here? It's called Let It Shine Academy. People know it for Lisa. And it's primarily owned by me, but it's just, I guess, different in that it's a free school. So it's a non-profit. They don't pay school fees or anything, right? And I have 253 students. And I started this school 5 years ago. And a lot of people ask, why did you just wake up and decide to start a free school in Lagos? I had moved back to Nigeria, and it wasn't, before it was a secondary school, it was actually a school, a creative academy, a vocational academy. And I think I moved back to Nigeria, and I was really like, what is going on with the children on the road and children not being in school? And for me, the next thing was access, because I grew up in a home where it was compulsory to learn another language, it was compulsory to play an instrument, and it was compulsory to learn a sport. So apart from school, which is kind of what you're saying, I knew how to swim, I speak Spanish, and I played the guitar. And again, it was access, and it was understanding that not everyone had that equal access. And a very popular thing that I say to my kids all the time is everyone has the right to dream, but everyone also has the right to access the tools and the things, because it's one thing to dream, right? And it's like you said, action, right? But then if you don't have the opportunity to, that's a different thing. So I started by going to Mushin, the remand home in Mushin, teaching the kids art, drama, different things every Saturday. And that spiraled to 5 different communities across Lagos, from Igbo to Makoko. And then a year later, I started a secondary school. So now we're actually a free boarding school in Shango Tedo. However, now we're a formal and informal school. And because that is really important. Every Saturday, so Monday to Friday, they're in classes. Every Saturday, there's 12 different activities going on, and every child is registered to an activity for a year. The next year, if they want to remain there and advance there, fine. Or if they want to switch and go somewhere else, that's also fine. So in my school, every Saturday, they are learning ballet, coding, data analysis, shoemaking and leather making, art, drama, farming. So all these things, and I think it's really, really important. And I'll give examples. We started our pathway program because I have my highest set is in SS2 right now. So next year they're going to start applying for schools. And I'm working with a scholarship consulting agency. And again, you have to remember that I always say that we're created after a creative God. So there's something that God has put in every single person. But what is there a platform where you can almost bring out those things and nurture those things out of them? Because you can't just put a human being there and expect to just display when nobody kind of took the time. You didn't even know that thing was inside you in the beginning. So now I have my girls. I have one student, Jomiloju, and I think I always call her the next Misty Copeland. Bear in mind, 3 years ago, she had no idea what ballet was. But now, she's so good at ballet. So she's in SS2. She's good academically, but she doesn't even get in with her grades. She can get scholarships because of ballet. And I think that really just answers that question of why you have to invest in the education, but even the other parts. And I think Oyinda said something earlier that even as an economy now, the rates with informal skills and employment sector is really, really high now. So whether it's music, whether it's sports, whether it's, look at, is it Falcons, winning the championship. So I really feel like we're in a time where we have to invest in that, and we have to not just invest in that, create access as well. So I don't know if that helps with answering your question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You really answered the question well. A round of applause for Mrs. Damilola Feide. So moving on to the next question. How can public and private sector partnership be leveraged to create sustainable empowerment programs for girls and young women?
Thank you very much. I must appreciate all the girls that have turned women today, and I want to appreciate the girls that are still growing. And it's a great privilege to be here this afternoon, seeing the beautiful faces and listening to my co-panelists. It's been very inspiring that we are just speaking one another's mind. And that is what I want to implore the girls seated here, that the truth remains the same wherever you might find it, in the hand of a beggar or in the hand of a king. The truth is always the same. And coming to your question, with my experience coming up with Ashani and Aduke Foundation is a vision that, that was born out of my passion to ensure that the girl child is just not left alone, roaming the streets, dancing in the clubs, and being vulnerable to things that are not supposed to be. You look around, you don't find men doing some things, you don't find boys doing some things, but they call on girls and say, you are beautiful, you can actually do this because you're a girl. But there are more honorable things that girl child should do as a girl. Because you are beautiful, you must awaken that giant in you, and that is your brain, to, bring out the values and the virtues that God has put in you. So now, answering your question, that, well, with Ashani and Aduke Foundation, we have experienced a lot of collaboration with government institutions. And I want to encourage stakeholders here and our girls here and say, just start. Like the First Lady said and previous speakers, that it is good for you to start where you are, because if you don't start, you won't know the enormity of the support you can actually get from private bodies, from government. And over the years, we have gotten ITF support us with our youths and women empowerment. We've got SMIDAM, assisting with capacity building. We've gotten NEPC, supporting us with Nigerian Export Promotion Council. So it's not that we're just training girls and women in craft alone. We, with the assistance of all these government agencies, we train them in capacity buildings that help them to really come out outstanding. It's not just the issue of making adire, but to go on and have value additions. Because I have realized that the easiest way for anyone to prosper, to succeed quickly, is by using your hands. Whatever you need to do with your hands, whatever has to come from inward, just like she just mentioned, learning to do ballet and all that. There are things that comes, they are innate in us. And one thing about a girl is that naturally it flows, probably maybe because of the way we are created with curves and whatever, so we can, literally easily bend towards anything. And what I would say is that we should start. We should be courageous. We should be proud of ourselves and bring out what is in us. And you see how people will come up, just like it was read in our bio, that the German corporation, came up to assist, and they said, we don't do this. We work with governments and institutions, but it's the first time they are going to partner with a private organization because of what we are doing, and because we stood up. I stood up and said, okay, we can do this. So I walk into any office and talk to them. I walk into any PC and said, this is what we are doing, and this is what we want from you. Just like Egbeyemi mentioned, that everything is not about money. And we just discovered that at Ashani and Aduke Foundation, that starting with your hands, you don't really need money. Most of the time you need mentoring, then you need skill acquisition, and you need to awaken that giant in you, and you just find out that you don't really need money to do a lot of things. Because I have done so many things. The first National Adire Festival, I got up without a penny, and we had it done. We did the second one, and the third one is coming up. We just find people, companies coming up, and they say, we can't give you money. So we don't need money, we need your services. And actually in life,
as a girl, what you really need is mentoring, support, and not money. Because money is the bait that men uses against girls. But when you know that the money, what you need is inside of you, and that is what will actually come out and bring money, which is gratification for whatever you have shown that you can actually do well. Have I answered your question?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Ma. Let's give her a round of applause for the wonderful answer she gave us. And we should think that we should always start before we give up. As a girl, we should start before we give up. So moving on to the next question. What role does confidence play in girls' participation in leadership and entrepreneurship, and how can we nurture it early?
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation to Leap Africa. I would say that the role that confidence plays in girls is, first of all, your confidence gives you visibility. It gives you a voice where other people are, some sort of silence. For instance, I'll look into the room now and I'll ask somebody, how many of us paid attention to Mr. Daniel Kwe? How many of us in the room? Just the girls. How many of us? How many of us can, maybe we'll be taking an action from there? Okay, I have one girl over there. And if she will be taking an action, if she knows what to do or not, the fact that she's raised her hand has made me notice her there. And if later in future, I see her become a a supplier to the UN, I already know that she picked that from here. I'll give you a story. So when I was in school, and I like the fact that everybody shared from their personal stories. It made it really relatable. I would always raise my hand and say a lot of things. I would always answer questions, go for debates and all of those things. So when we got to SS3, my teachers naturally thought I should be the senior prefect. I didn't see myself in that light. I just felt I like to talk, I like to go for debates and, win the quiz and, just come in with the trophy. So as it was usual practice for them there, they would ask the girls to, so I went to only girls school anyway. So, and I think it's a plus that I did that. I think it's a plus. Are we in schools that are only girls here? Okay. I see a lot of people here. Okay, great. And so they had an interview, and it was an impromptu interview. And my teacher asked me and says, Aderisola, who should be the next senior prefect? In my head, there's one other girl that I thought was more intelligent than I was. So I mentioned her name. And he said, why not you? I'm like, I can't do it, but I don't know. I'm like, but why? So guess what happens? He then says, he asks a couple of girls to come vote for who they want their senior prefect to be. And it was me. And I was really surprised because I thought that I was just the girl that would go for the quiz. I wasn't the girl that would be the senior prefect. And that journey of being the senior prefect took me a long route to understand that I had the confidence and the competence to lead. In short, I was senior prefect, and I was thinking of writing to organizations to come and sponsor the school on some things. And that was very funny because your responsibility was just to lead other girls and be fine. But it made me want to think beyond those other things that were my core responsibilities. Some of the things that you would do and how people would notice you is by your confidence. Sometimes we get to the stages where sometimes I'm probably a keynote speaker somewhere, and before I'm getting to the stage, I'm jittery, I'm afraid, but I'm just there anyways to speak. In some of the things, confidence does not just come in the full measure of it. Sometimes it comes in the shaky voice, it comes in the fear, in your sweaty palms as well, and you just raising up your hand to say, I'll do it. And while you're doing it, some of the things that I've learned is that I begin to learn to do it better. I'll share a personal story. It doesn't then even end in being in secondary school. I got the Audacity Champion Award in my office. It was the first time my office was going to introduce it, and I was the first person to get it. And I remember that they had asked people to vote. Of course, you would vote and you choose who the Audacity Champion should be. And, and people had said, oh, they were voting at Aderisola because they felt that Aderisola she's very audacious and she would speak. But it made me also realize that some of the things that I did afraid, some of the things that I did scared, some of the dreams I had, and that was the first question they were asking about dreams that were bigger than me, but I would still step into the role and say, let me do it, was how people thought that had so much audacity to give. Confidence doesn't just start in one day. It's something that you build over time. And how we can build this confidence in girls, I say this to teachers, to heads of organizations that are here, is to allow them go in the role that they want to. Is to not micromanage people. I would say that I feel like God is not a micromanager. He just allows us to do our things. He places the gifts inside you. You nurture it and do whatever you want to do with it. So if you can say, I want to be a gospel singer, I want to be an hip-hop singer, that's left on you anyways. But we'll have to allow these girls to do whatever they want to do to thrive. So for instance, one of the things, because I studied education, so one of the things they will say to you in teaching a student is guided discovery. So you just say, I want you to go bring me a red carpet. Another student may not think this is a red carpet. Another one may think it's the one outside that you're talking to. You allow them to explore, and that sort of like builds the confidence in them. I hope I was able to answer that as well.
Thank you so much, Ma. So I'll be moving, a round of applause for her, please. So I'll be moving over to the panelist specific questions, and I am starting from Mrs. Aderisola Amobi Daniel. Oh. So, ma'am, how does Leap Africa integrate gender empowerment into its leadership development programs, and what lesson can be scaled nationally?
Thank you for that question. So what we do at Leap Africa is we look at, first of all, we have a gender segregation that we work with. So we look at the programs that we lead. We have a lot of initiatives that we lead, from the Youth Day of Service, from the Leadership Accelerator Program for Young African Women, which I lead on. We also have the Youth Leadership Debates Program that we also do. What we do, first of all, to empower these women is that we look at the numbers of the call for applications that we have. And we have a quota that is assigned to having women on these programs. So if, for instance, we have 1,000 women who is coming on that program, we have a standard that those women we must have at least 500 women in these 1,000 programs. So we're sure that we'll put that. So when we have applications, for instance, a lot of times we notice that women are sometimes scared to apply for these things. You see men apply more. In a program where you have applied to be the lead or apply to be a volunteer, how many do we think, which one do we think that women will go for? So we see more women in volunteering than we see women in leadership. And so some of the things that we do is, for women who have reached out for volunteering, we're saying, let's have a meeting with you. Why don't you think you should be a leader? Something that my teacher taught me that time. So why don't you think you should be a leader in this? So we bring that sort of thing up. Another thing that we also do is that because we understand the peculiarities of women, sometimes we will start this program with a lot of women, and before you know it, these women are dropping off. Some because of childbirth, some because of the dynamics. Probably they got married, probably their husband doesn't want them to do it. We take it a step further by inviting these women, or even looking for, instead of you having the program physically, can we do some sort of like online program for you so that you can attend and as well gain the I think our time is almost up. So, and as well gain the right information that others are getting as well. Another thing that we also do is, right now, currently in Leap Africa, we have a higher number of women as staffs of Leap Africa than we do men. Our executive director is a woman. The founder of Leap Africa is a woman. The director of programs is a woman. The HR manager is a woman. That's not to say that we do not have men, but we have a ratio of 60 to 40 men, 60 women to 40 men in the organization. And how can this be scaled nationally? I would say, I say a lot of things that Nigerian women or even African women are over-mentored and under-sponsored. Beyond us, holding hands and saying, I'm mentoring on this, I think it's high time that we also started to sponsor these women into these initiatives. For instance, if I know that there was a mentor at one point, we have a program called the Leadership Accelerator Program for Young African Women. And we just even asked this woman to be a mentor on this program. And she saw a need in our mentees, and what she did was that she paid personally from her purse. We weren't going to be paying her. She paid in USD for these women to get additional learning. And these are about 3 women. So I think that those are, some of the ways that we can empower these women. So beyond just saying do this and do that, it's also saying, I think that you should go for this position. I can put my name down, but of course, you don't put your name down for somebody who you do not vouch for their integrity.
Wow. Thank you so much, ma. A round of applause for her. Thank you so much, ma. So moving on to the next question. This question is for Mrs. Busola Odusonya. Okay. Mentorship can be a transformative experience, but its success depends on sustainability, accessibility, and structure. This question invites reflection on effective frameworks, peer mentorship, digital communities, and all corporate programs that ensures meaningful ongoing support for girls. Ma'am, you've emphasized mentorship in career growth. What structures or models best support effective long-term mentorship for young girls?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. And in a sense, the answer is in the question that you asked, because yes, you need to have structure. So you need structure, you need scalability, like you said, and of course, you need the programs to be sustained. So to have effective mentoring, those 3 attributes must be in place. But from my own experience, I believe that the best models are multi-layered, and across the gamut of everything we've heard today, people have referred to one-on-one type of guidance. People have talked about group mentoring, peer-to-peer mentoring. So a combination of these, relying on seasoned professionals, connecting girls to even solutions that are community-based, so community-based support systems, community-based solutions. But at the end of the day, I think we need to remember that whether mentoring is formal, whether it's informal, the things that you really want to see in place to be sure that it is effective is number 1, and I'll talk about 4 things. Number 1, you need to have intentional pairing. So we can't just allow it to happen. I mean, some of these encounters happen by chance, right? But if you are not being intentional, then it may not be sustained. So you want to have intentional pairing. Girls need to be intentionally paired with mentors. You want to have shared values. So something I'm very big on, and is like a core part of my identity, is values. And I believe that Nigeria is a country that is blessed with vast potential. We see it every day. A lot of work is being done. The permanent secretary spoke today about a lot of laudable things that are happening in Lagos State. Her Excellency spoke about her own state and some of those initiatives. But we know that Nigeria has merely scratched the surface of what we as a nation are truly capable of. And for Nigeria to make that leap forward, we're also really going to have to focus on our values. We're going to have to emphasize integrity. We're going to have to emphasize excellence. We're going to have to emphasize purpose. And your purpose cannot be corruption. Your purpose cannot be stealing. Your purpose cannot be trampling on the rights of others. So when we are intentional about this mentoring, we need girls to be comfortable, to know who they are, to know what they stand for, and to lead and to move with integrity, so that when they're faced with challenging situations or they're navigating ambiguity, they respond with integrity regardless. So you have intentional pairing, you have shared values. You also need to have regular engagement. So it shouldn't really just be a one-off interaction, because if you're talking about efficacy, there should be regular engagement, and then you want to have accountability. We must have a way to measure whether this is working. We must be able to measure whether it is succeeding. I love what she talked about, that they're doing 60-40. She gave so many rich examples. She talked about sponsorship. She talked about funding. She talked about how can we scale the amazing things that are being done in Leap Africa, how can we scale it so that it becomes like the story for Nigeria? Like if you walk into any organization, if you walk into any ministry, if you walk into any company, women are truly empowered. They are leading, you know, they are solving problems. They are speaking up. They are not shrinking. They are not afraid. So I would say, again, just to summarize, that for mentorship programs to be effective, like you said, you need to have intentional pairing. You need to have shared values. You need to have regular engagement and, of course, accountability.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. A round of applause for her, please, for Mrs. Busola Odusoya. So moving on to the next question. This question is for Mrs. Damilola Feide from Providence Bank. So, access to finance remains a barrier for many young women. How can financial institutions design programs or products that empower girls economically from an early age?
All right, thank you very much. I kind of laugh when I hear this because I'm very vocal, heading my team and my MD as well, in that we're more likely, women are more attractive to give funding to than men. No offense. So, you know, I think it goes back to what I said initially about knowledge. And I think that's why, as a bank and with every initiative that my desk is putting out, knowledge is very, very key. Because, and I think Permanent Secretary said it when she said, if you can't go if you don't know. I think a lack of knowledge is the first things first. Because if there's knowledge, you will know that access to finance isn't really your problem, right? And something that Adering Sola also mentioned was about speaking about confidence. And I'll give an example as to why a program that I developed and launched this year became about. I think we were having one of our SME programs, and I decided to start an access to equity financing platform, basically where we get SMEs and businesses that were looking for equity financing. We gather them every quarter in our rooftop lounge, and like a nice evening, an informal evening, we get our HNIs and VCs present, and you basically pitch your business. So I get this list of the businesses, and there are 20 that are pitching that evening. Out of 20, 18 are men, and there's only 2 women. But in that cohort, right, there's that cohort of 80 participants, about 40-something women. But they did not, again, raise their hand to say they weren't paying a dime. So again, it's fully sponsored. You have the opportunity, but it's that they just didn't feel like I could, and they weren't sure. And I remember going to meet them, because if you know me, again, I don't really send anybody. I don't understand what's going on. What are we doing? You providing small jobs, and they're because after you basically come and say, I don't have access to finance. But there's people in this room, and in that room, you know, I have a wonderful relationship with Rising Tide Africa. They're basically a women angel network for women. They want to bridge that funding gap. I had them, their founder, there. So and they don't want, they don't want men, but they want women businesses. So for me, it's like the access, the opportunity isn't no longer the issue. It's now up to us, right? So obviously, we delving further. A lot of the women couldn't even come because, again, they have kids, school runs, all of that. I think Dr. Kweju, who's on this call, and I went South Africa last year for the Global Entrepreneurship Congress. And I think there and there, I basically said, we need to do something for women. And we needed to do something for women, not because, you know, any different, but understanding that at the end of the day, there are differences. So maybe, like you said, there might be a program a woman might not be able to attend or finish applying for certain programs because there are so many things fighting for attention. So we then put together a program. We call it the Providence Bank She Thrives program in partnership with Enterprise Development Center and United Nations Women. And we said this is for women because we're going to be a lot patient with them. We're going to understand their mindset, where they are coming from, because it was all, you know, women-led. Right? And I think that really helped us. So I remember when we had the application portal, I would say, keep it open for another week, just in case. Call them in case if they haven't finished. Like you can see, it's not the application is incomplete. Call them to find out why, because a lot of times they are the nurturers, they are the caretakers. There's a reason why. So we did that, and this program, it was a holistic program where there's access to capacity building and knowledge. Because for me, that is big. I always say I won't give a 13-year-old a car to drive because they would crash and burn, because they don't have the capacity, they don't know what to do with it, right? And it's the same thing with financing as well. Is you have to make sure that you know what to do the financing, the funding that you get at every level. Not when you're, when you're a startup is different from when you're trying to scale, for differently, right? So this program basically has access to training and knowledge and capacity building for 3 months with EDC. And then in that, we also have access to markets. And we partner with United Nations Women with their procurement programs that they have to basically now give contracts to women that, again, do like a contract match with other organizations. Then there was the access to finance. So as a bank, we also have the Regal product, which is just for women in business and just for women, right? And something I'm actually fighting for is for it to be age. Because I think it's really important that from very early on, financial literacy for girls and guys isn't something that they learn when they are 20. Because again, you can waste money at 18. So they start early on, very early on, they know. And because I think knowledge, I'm an educator, so for me, education is really key. And then we had access to finance, but we didn't just even limit it to just loans. We also did equity financing. So again, I was like, okay, people were playing that time. I had a room of just RTA, the angel investor, and just HNIs from our bank, private banking clients, and VCs that were there to just hear the women in that cohort. So I think, again, understanding is really important. Access is really important. But the main thing is education and knowledge, right? I think that is really how you bridge that gap. So it's also for us to say what is happening, what is going on, who is there to help you. Because, like you said, there's a lot of initiatives. But, again, action. It's one thing to know. It's another thing to do. So, yeah, I don't know if that helps.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Let's give her a round of applause. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this session. Let's give the panelists a round of applause. And any questions that we need to ask them should be written on a paper and we'll be giving to them later. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Thank you to our panelists. That was a very insightful panel session. And thank you, our moderator. Okay, so if you have questions, please write it down and give it to any of the UN people you see around. They can always pass your questions to the panelists. Okay, before we go to the next thing for today, we'd like to recognize one of our students that just clocked 18 today, Miss Adebayo Joy from MICTEC International School. Can you stand up so that we can sing a happy birthday? Please, let's sing a happy birthday for her. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless you, Joy. May the good Lord bless you. Hip, hip, hip. Happy birthday, Joy. Long life and prosperity. You can sit. Okay, so we'll be calling on our little Miss Kogi to give us her speech before she leaves. Queen Aisha Salau Audu. Please, a round of applause for our little queen.
Good day, distinguished guests, respected elders, parents, teachers, fellow young leaders, and my dear friends. My name is Queen Aisha Salau Audu, proudly known as Little Miss Kogi. It's a great honor to stand before you today as a young voice for hope, learning, and service. I sincerely appreciate the United Nations Association of Nigeria for the privilege given to me to stand before you today, speaking on the importance of education and social works in building a better society. Education is not just about going to school. It's about opening our minds to the endless possibilities around us. It gives us knowledge, builds our confidence, and helps us dream bigger than our circumstances. As a young girl from Kogi State, I have seen that when a child, especially a girl, is given the chance to learn, she becomes a light to her family and a blessing to her community. Education teaches us not only how to read and write, but how to think, how to solve problems, and how to make our world a better place. That is why I always say, a book in the hand of a child is a seed for a brighter tomorrow. The power of social work. Education alone is not enough. We must learn the spirit of social work, that is, caring for others, sharing what we have, and helping to lift those who are less privileged. Through social work, we learn kindness, teamwork, and leadership. We learn that every little act, whether it's visiting an orphanage, cleaning our community, or helping a friend, can make a big difference. I believe that when young people combine education with compassion, we become unstoppable agents of change. As Little Miss Kogi, I have taken it as my duty to promote both education and social work among children and young people in Nigeria. I have been visiting schools to encourage children to stay in class and take their studies seriously. I also support community outreach programs where we share learning materials with the less privileged and create awareness of hygiene, good manners, and respect. With the support of my family, my team, and well-meaning organization, I hope to start a project called Books and Smiles for Every Child, a campaign that provides school materials and mentorship with the less privileged children in rural areas in Kogi and Abuja as pilot scheme. To this end, I want to remind everyone that the future belongs to those who are prepared today. I'm young, but I believe I can make a difference. God bless Kogi State. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, my queen. And who says you cannot make an impact early enough in life? Please, another round of applause for our little Miss Kogi. Thank you. So we'll be going to the next panel session. Okay, the next panel session is titled Building Strong Foundation for Girls. And the focus is on menstrual health management, adolescent reproductive health, access to care, and mental well-being. The panelists on this session are Mrs. Ranjita Priyadashini, founder, Paid Period Leave. She'll be joining us virtually. Mrs. Ranjita is a pioneering policy advocate and social justice leader from Odisha, India, with a background in engineering, human resource welfare, and law. She led the landmark 2024 campaign for paid period leave in Odisha, inspiring similar reforms across India, including Karnataka's adoption in 2025. Please, a round of applause for our first panelist. And the second is Dr. Anita Kemi Da Silva Ibru. She would also be joining us online, founder Warif. Dr. Anita is a consultant obstetrician, gynecologist, and public health physician with over 30 years of experience. She's the founder of the Women at Risk International Foundation, Warif, a leading African non-profit addressing sexual violence and human trafficking. Please, a round of applause for her. Okay, information reaching me now. Mrs. Da Silva, founder Warif, will be represented by Mrs. Bridget from Warif. You're welcome, ma. Okay, our next panelist is Dr. Chineye Jerry Ama, Executive Director, Mom to Mom Empowerment. Dr. Chineye is a registered social worker, transformational speaker, and chartered human resource professional. She serves as coordinator of the Child Protection Network in Lagos State, Ikeja Division, and Alimosho Local Government, and is the CEO of Let's Hail Services, focused on training and school support. She also chairs the Governing Council of Covenant University Secondary School and is the Director, Dean of Studies at Majek Leadership Academy, Anambra State. You're welcome, ma. Our next panelist is Dr. Fumilayo Oyedokun Orugbeja, founder, Rose Legal Practice. She is the principal partner of Rose Legal Practice. She started her own law firm 5 years after being called to the Nigerian bar. She worked as a litigation counsel and solicitor, spanning through family law, corporate law, commercial law, property law. Always been an advocate of women's rights and passionate about the betterment and standard of living of women. She engages in coordinating young girls and children within her immediate environment. You're welcome, ma. Please, a round of applause for her. Our next panelist is Dr. Temitope Victoria Ayonda, consultant physician, Department of Medicine, LASUT. Dr. Victoria is a distinguished consultant physician and pulmonologist at LASUT, specializing in the diagnosis and management of diseases affecting the internal organs, with special focus on the respiratory system. With a robust background in clinical practice, she is uniquely positioned to address the critical health issues shaping girls' well-being, including how environmental factors and biological changes, such as those related to the menstrual cycle, can impact pulmonary health. You're welcome, doctor. And to moderate this session, we have from Peaceville International School, Miss Afolabi Tioluwanimi. Please. We have 30 minutes for this session.
Good morning, distinguished guests, students, and teachers representing each and every school here. We are delighted to have you here. But before we start with this session, we have a short video to watch. So can we all focus on the screen? While we wait for the video, oh, okay.
I am from India, and I first sorry to everyone that due to my power outage, I could not able to attend this program. As right now I am in a tribal village area where electricity and also the other problems are there. So, very much sorry for that, and also I just thank to Nigeria government and also my friend Dr. Afanu and the United Nations Association Nigeria that they are doing fabulous job in the development of Nigeria girl child. And today when I think and I thought about that how I can also contribute towards the development of Nigeria girl child, and I also think lots of work, like I just want to distribute so many I want to distribute from my side. Till 2026, I thought to distribute lots of pads, and I want to go Nigeria also for that. And also, I want to work with UNA Nigeria and also with the Nigeria government for the development of girl child. And for that, I also request to the Nigeria government to support paid period leave in Nigeria also, because if we cannot support now the girl child, they are the futures of our generation, then how we can develop a girl from a little baby girl from to the women. So we have to do lots of work for them, and if we combinedly do this work, then it will be it will give a positive result towards the society, towards the development. And for that also, I also thanks to everyone, as Nigeria is the first country from where I got support when all over the world I told when I started this paid period leave campaign. That time in 2022, nobody supported me, but the delegates HR from the Nigeria, they are the first person who supported me. That Ranjita, you are doing fabulous job. Why not you started this now? You don't think about anybody else. So I thought to do. I started on that time because I was so many dilemma on that time that whether I will start or not start. See now after 2022, now in 2025, I got support. Namaste everyone. I am Ranjita Priyadarsini, the global campaigner of a paid period.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ranjita and Absentia. It is an honor to sit with each and every one of you. I'm very delighted. You look radiant and beautiful as ever. So I have two sets of questions, general and specific to your field of work. So I'll start with the general questions to my left. What policies or workplace reforms are necessary to create gender-sensitive and health-conscious environments for women and girls?
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an absolute honor to be here today to speak before everyone. And I also want to acknowledge the panelists who spoke before now. I learned so much from all the women. Now to address your question about, please can you take the question again?
What policies or workplace reforms are necessary to create gender-sensitive and health-conscious environments for women and girls?
Okay, so flowing from that question, I think that the previous panelists, some people already addressed that, so I will just follow up on it. Now, gender-sensitive policies for women in the workplace, to address that, to properly address that, we have to look at what are the issues that women first of all face in the workplace. For instance, I'm a woman in my childbearing phase, and my first law firm where I worked, I was always going out of Lagos. I would go to Abeokuta, I would go to Shagamu, because it was purely litigation. And then I got married, I got pregnant with my first kid. There was no way I was going to continue with that. But you know, in Nigeria, labor laws are not so friendly. So my boss was not going to understand, despite it being a law firm. Now, I know that if we had proper policies in place to protect women, or if we had policies that were working, actual policies that people implemented, or that government agencies ensure that at the workplace, every woman is entitled to some sort of leverage, or what would I call it now? Some sort of a proper maternity leave. It's not that, oh, you're being threatened, oh, you will lose your job if you don't come back on time and all of that. So for me, in addressing that, I would say we need more hands on deck. All our women who are in the legislature, our women who have who can talk in the right places to the right ears. We need everybody to come together to ensure that there's a fair policy for women in the right places. Now also there's this thing going around about menstrual period leave. Now it's still very foreign in Nigeria. I mean, if you say it's on both sides, you just roll your eyes at you like, what do you think you're saying from where to where? So those are one of the things that we need to consider. It's very, very important.
So that's a call to action to every woman in the right place, in high places. So to the next question. How does access to reproductive health education impact a girl's ability to lead and achieve her potential?
Once again, I want to say thank you to everyone, the organizers. On behalf of Dr. Kemi, thank you for the invitation as well. When you look at reproductive health and empowerment, the first thing that has to come to your mind is education. Education empowers you at the beginning. Then we have students, young adolescent girls, who are coming from homes where the knowledge they have about menstrual hygiene is a piece of cloth. In the rural setting, you have a young girl, she doesn't know what a pad is. She doesn't understand why she's bleeding every month. The first time we went for a program during our implementation for adolescent girls, one of the questions that a girl asked in that section was, why am I bleeding? Is there any justification why I'm bleeding and the boys are not bleeding every month? Now, she said, growing up, the first impression she got when she told her mom, it was a piece of cloth. This is in Lagos, not in a rural setting. The mother is not educated. So it was a piece of cloth the mother gave to her. So when you look at education, you look at empowerment, and you look at the reproductive system of a young girl, you find out that at the beginning, at the early age, if she's able to access proper education around menstrual hygiene, she will be empowered. A lot of times, that girl is withdrawn. She's back at home because she doesn't want anybody to see her. But if she's well educated, she finds out that, okay, even while I'm in my period, I can do whatever everybody else is doing. So she's more empowered to take decisions. She's more informed to take some decisions that borders around her life, borders around her being in school, borders around her studying. So if we have to continue to educate that girl comes out empowered. That girl comes out from that point where she can give an informed decision concerning her. She's not coming from a place of shame. Because some girls, when they're in their period, they feel ashamed. And menstrual cycle is not something any of us should be ashamed of. Once she gets the knowledge of that, she's empowered to do whatever she wants to do at any limit. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that answer. How do mental health and self-esteem link to leadership potential in girls?
Okay, first of all, I want to appreciate this initiative. It's amazing to have amazing, beautiful, awesome girls here today. Mental health is a concern, not just for girls, but for everyone, but most particularly for the girl child. Because we live in a patriarchal society where the girl child is not seen as a child. All of the male children are celebrated when their births come forth, but when they ask a woman, what did you give birth to? A girl. Congratulations. There is no jubilation that comes with it. There is no hype. So the girl child has actually suffered some kind of subjugation in the sense that girls are seen as you just grow up, learn to be a good wife to your husband, and take care of your kids. They are not focused on as relevant. They are not seen as able to occupy space. They are not seen as able to walk into a room and take center stage. So they are actually not considered at all. Their sexuality, what they go through, I believe that the menstrual leave should be looked into seriously, because girls do go through a lot. I'm a mother of 6. I adopted 2 kids before having my other biological children. And out of the 6, I have a girl child. I adopted another girl child before I had my own biological girl child. And growing up myself as a girl child, I realized that my voice, I was practically depressed throughout my teenage years. Because growing up in the 70s, you're not considered as relevant as a girl child. And being in Africa, the boy child is actually more celebrated than the girl child. So I really grew up depressed. And for some of the girls sitting before me, listen, they don't get you, yes. The society doesn't get what you go through, yes. But we are about to break the window. We are about to smash the window. Because I tell the girl child, when the door of opportunity is closed against you, you smash the window. I got that in AWIF in 2024. And why I'm saying this is that the mental health of the girl child needs to be looked into closely. Because menstrual cramp alone is enough to distort you while sitting in class. But no one is talking about it. Oh, I'm having menstrual cramp, and you tell the teacher, and they're like, so? It's a big deal. It should be looked into. Guidance counselors in schools should have safe spaces where the girl child can come and talk about what they go through. Talk about their feelings. Talk about the things that bother them. And so many things are there. But we find that in some of these schools, we are seen as the other human being. And in my school, I have what we call, the boys in my school always feel that I'm a bit biased, but I always say that I'm unapologetically a feminist and a girl child advocate, because I believe it's time that the girl child takes center stage and her feelings are heard. So we have a space where they have one day with the dean, the girl child's day with the dean, and we sit behind closed doors and we talk about our issues. The girl child should have a room where you can speak about what you want to talk about and no one is going to judge you about it. Oh, I don't feel what I'm going through. I don't know what I'm going through. You wake up in the morning, you don't even feel like getting out of bed. The girl child should have a space where you can talk about that. And most times, they are not heard. Most times, they are just told, look, just grow up, go to school, but just grow up and be a good wife to your husband and learn to take care of children. But I don't think that should be the norm anymore. So we must also learn, even in schools. In my school, in my bathroom, in my school in Ambra State, we have menstrual pads, we have sanitary towels in our bathrooms. How many schools actually have sanitary towels in the bathrooms? But they have a urinary for boys. Okay, they have a particular urinary for boys, meaning they are creating focus where the boys will urinate. But what about the girl child? Your menses can start at any time and then you run around. Schools, if you count the schools in Nigeria, how many has facility where a girl child can walk into the bathroom in the middle of the day when her menses has started and she can just pull out a pad from the toilet? And this can be very traumatizing for a girl child to be in class and she's stained. And she doesn't even know what to do. She doesn't know how to wash up. She doesn't know where to go to. Because there is no space for that. So it's important for us to include the girl child because their mental health should be looked at critically and with intention. Because honestly speaking, like I usually tell people, the hand that rocks the cradle does actually rule the nation. I am a product of female genital mutilation, a victim, let me put it that way. We are not asked if we want to be mutilated. We are just told that it will stop promiscuity. So who mutilates the boy child to stop promiscuity? I have actually suffered as someone who was mutilated as a child, there are a lot of side effects with FGM. And so in my university days, I decided to have my project work in FGM and vesicovaginal fistulae. We are not even talking about that. And I was asked to use case notes, which I got case notes from hospitals in Kanu, and I had to visit. And here you see the young girls on the streets leaking of urine with their urine bags, and no one cares about what they feel. And the same men who marry them, who put them in the house as children, I'm talking about early marriage now, throw them out the moment they begin to leak urine. No one cares about them. I was traumatized when I was handling my project in my BSc. I was literally traumatized because it reminded me of what I went through, and I'm still going through as a result of female genital mutilation. The pains continue with you all through life. The mental trauma you go through with FGM. I don't expect any girl child or anyone per se to go through FGM. So please, let's protect the mental space of the girl child. Let's stop mutilating our girls. It is traumatizing. It is traumatizing. Let's create a space where the girl child can be listened to. I mean, literally listen. Not listening with judgment. Not listening to getting an answer ready. But listening to her without any kind of judgment. Hearing her say what she's going through and providing solutions. I told them recently when we had a social work meeting, and I said, and that was in Unilag, I said, it is high time we stopped researching and start acting. So many researches have been done on the girl child, FGM, VVF. What exactly has been done to protect the mental space of the girl child? We can't find any result anywhere. So for that, I think the nation should create a space where the mental health of the girl child should occupy our policy making. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ma. That was very touching and a cry to each and every one of us. Thank you so much. What are the most critical health challenges facing girls in Nigeria today, and how can we address them through collaboration?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I would start by saying it's been an honor to be here and to participate in this gathering. So this is the United Nations, and I'm sure, to the students here, have we heard of the Sustainable Development Goals? Any of the students? Okay, so which one of them has to do with health? Is it 1, 2, 4, 5? Okay, so the SDG 3 has to do with health. And then I believe we all know that, let me just remind us that health, is a complete state of both physical, mental, and social well-being. So it's not just the absence of disease or infirmity. So that's what health is. So from a clinician's perspective now, addressing everyone here, considering our environment and having to do with partnerships and collaborations, so I'll be targeting the girls here, and I would want to encourage everyone to focus on preventive health. We all know that illnesses, diseases can be quite expensive and a burden on the family when it occurs. So I'm going to encourage every girl here to go back home and be an advocate for preventive health. And what are the practical things you can do about that? Have we heard about the term insurance or health insurance? So this is one of the partnerships or how do I put it, inputs that can really go a long way in securing health. And like I said, it's not just illness, mental health and well-being, and then your social network as well. So it's important that from the earlier panel discussion, there were discussions on audacity and being confident. So as a girl child, you should be able to speak up when you feel unwell, or be involved in conversations in your family with your parents that have to do with health. So you could go back home and ask your parents, oh, Daddy, do we have health insurance? What does it entail? So you should be part of these conversations and know what it involves. And taking it a step forward, it's important. Part of preventive health also, it starts from the choices you make every day. So it's very important what you learn about eating healthy, exercising, and all that. It's very important. So be determined to make healthy choices. So your day-to-day activities, your choice of snacks, or your choice of extracurricular activities. So beyond the four walls of the classroom, part of your social health now has to do with other things that you're engaging in that just makes you feel good. So it's not just what you learn in class. So you could have legitimate hobbies or things you love doing. So it's important to actually develop those beyond them being potential business or informal sources of income, but actually it's something that also helps with your well-being. So it's important to look at all these aspects of health and engage in these conversations, with your friends at home. And I believe that doing all that, it would be key in securing, the good health that we all hope to enjoy as we go on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Okay, so now we'll be going to the specific questions for your field of work. And I'd like to start with Mrs. Fumilayo. So my question, you are an experienced legal practitioner with a track record of experience in various legal industries. What legal frameworks exist or need strengthening to protect girls from abuse and ensure their right to quality health care?
Thank you for the question. So first I'll start by saying that law is vast, first of all. Law is a set of rules and regulations that govern a society. Now, because of the complexity of child abuse and the likes, there are different laws that are applicable to the protection of child rights. And I'll start with, first of all, the most important law is the law of the land, which is the 1999 Constitution. That is where you see from section 33 to section 46, which is chapter 4, which deals with the fundamental human rights. That is where you get the provision for the rights of everybody and then of children. Now, the next law that we'll speak about is the Child Rights Act. Now, Child Rights Act states that a child is anyone who is below the age of 18. That's the rule for Child Rights Act. We basically, the legal framework that both the Child Rights Act, the 1999 Constitution, the Violence Against People's People Prohibition Act, the VAP Act. Sorry, let me just state them out so that I don't bungle it. Okay, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2010, Criminal and Penal Codes. Those are the three main laws under which we can state the legal framework for the protection of the rights of children in Nigeria. Now, I'm being careful because I don't want to bombard, secondary school students with laws, because if you're going to study law, when you get into university, you'll be familiar with that. But I just had to state it for the record. Now, those three laws that I decided to mention basically cover everything that has to do with the rights of children. Now, the what's it called? The when we look at these three together as a legal framework, they've covered everything about children. Children should not be raped. Children should not be abused in any way or the other. The problem with the application of these laws in Nigeria is because of our disunity. When I say disunity, there's the criminal and the penal code. The criminal code applies to just the southern part of the country. That's the Yoruba speaking side. Any other part of the country that is not the north deals with the criminal code. Now the penal code deals with the northern side. And the northern side of the country has refused, I don't know if refuse is the right word, but the penal code supports child marriage, deals with Sharia law and the likes. And that makes it very difficult to domesticate the Child Rights Act. So because certain people, a part of the country is focusing on penal code, or the country is split into two, and they are practicing two different kind of laws which protect children, which are our future, there's a problem, and they've refused to now domesticate it. So if we keep going to the UN to adopt laws, and we don't domesticate them in each state, then there's a problem. So the main solution to this, to the legal framework, to strengthening the legal framework for the child's rights, is to ensure that no matter what state you are, once there's a law governing the rights of children, it has to be domesticated. And that is where we are right now. We cannot, every day we hear about Sharia law, we hear what's happening on the north, and it keeps enabling child marriages. We hear the news all the time. So it's a big problem. Now, some of the further solutions to strengthening the gaps that have been created in our legal framework for the protection of children's rights. My apologies if this is taking some time, but it's quite a delicate matter, and I'm trying my best to be able to pass it across and not bore the girls with unnecessary laws. But there are some things that still need to be stated for the sake of record. Thank you. Now, critical gaps and areas needing strengthening: protection from abuse, universal domestication and harmonization of the CRA. The federal government must intensify advocacy and use moral suasion to ensure all 36 states domesticate and implement the CRA, which is the Child Rights Act, without derogatory clauses that lower the marriage age. Strengthening the justice system, specialized courts. I believe we already have some specialized courts. We have the special offenses courts at Ikeja, which helps to expedite cases that have to do with children, domestic violence, and but especially children. And now we also see that there's a child offenders register now in Lagos State, courtesy of the domestic violence team in Lagos. So once anyone molests a child, there's now a register where you see. So I think Lagos State has done well with that, and it needs to be replicated all over Nigeria. Police training. I believe that this is very difficult, and in my experience with police, sometimes policemen are not exactly very professional. You go to the police station to report a rape case, and they are asking questions that should never be asked from a victim. Now, if this is addressed, explicit criminalization of child marriage, while the CRA, which is the Child Rights Act, prohibits child marriage, some states still have ambiguous laws concerning child marriage. A clear, unambiguous federal stance is needed. Community engagement. we need to work with our traditional and religious leaders, because we are a very traditional and religious set of people. So if, for instance, the government or the representatives of the government who deal with child rights go to the churches once in a while, go to the mosque once in a while to talk to the people or liaise with their leaders and say, look, we need to have this, we're from the government and we need to have this conversation with your congregation, it will go a long way, because we're very spiritual people and we revere our spiritual leaders. So that will help a long way in ending child marriages. Now, data collection and monitoring. Establishing, like, addition of the child offense register already covered this, where sex people names and their details there. So once they do that, everybody sees that, okay, this one is a sex offender and it is registered, your name is there, and Lagos State has taken the lead with that. Ensuring quality healthcare, strengthening implementation of the National Health Act funding. So I think an example of this will be that now, I don't know if the girls are aware, but if you go to most medical centers, the local medical centers, I think between the age of 9 and 13, they now give them ovarian cancer vaccines. Last time I was there for immunization, I think they were really talking about it, saying, look, let young girls come forward to take the ovarian cancer vaccine because of how it has taken the lives of women. So funding healthcare system at the local level would help to improve or strengthen the legal framework for young girls.
Thank you, Ma.
Are you okay? Do you need me to round off, or I'm sorry, but this was a very vast question. Okay. So, in summary, dignitaries and everyone present, in summary, the legal framework for the child rights or for the girl child in Nigeria, we have a lot of laws, and our laws have loopholes that need to be addressed and strengthened. And the ways in which they can be addressed and strengthened is to ensure that, first of all, the criminal and penal code is one of the biggest issues. That's why we keep having what we're having in the north, where there's child marriages. We need to find a way to sort that out and ensure that there's a general law governing everywhere, whatever, regardless of whatever state or whatever religion is practiced in that state. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Now to Mrs. Bridget. We know that WARF has done significant work tackling gender-based violence. What preventive measures and support systems are most effective for young girls?
Okay, so the Women at Risk International Foundation is a privately owned and managed rape crisis center. The youngest that we've seen in our facility is 7 months old, while the 80s. Basically for us, we have initiative around all our programs. For awareness, we have community awareness where we work directly with community leaders, traditional leaders, religious leaders, and traditional birth attendants. Reason being that these are custodians of people's personal secrets. Nigerians, like the last speaker said, are very religious people. And so when things happen, they go to their religious leader. Unfortunately, these leaders don't have the knowledge to address issues around sexual and gender-based violence. That is why for us as an organization, we took it as our responsibility to do what? To educate and train and empower religious leaders, traditional leaders, and traditional birth attendants, so that the community becomes a safe place. Now, for another addition would be the fact that we need to create
safe reporting spaces for girls. My organization is a classic example of a safe space where survivors come in. They don't leave that facility with the hope of. When a young girl who has been raped is brought to our facility, we have counselors that attend to them. We have a space that is welcoming for them to open up. It's a space where they can trust you enough to get naked all over again to tell you their story. And it's important for schools to have safe spaces where young girls can report. They can pour out their concerns. They can trust that counselor that in these four corners of this room that I'm talking to you, my story is not going to go out of this place. When they have that confidence that this story I'm telling you will not go to the next person, that young girl is assured that she will continue to come to that safe space to express her pain. And when she's leaving that space, she's leaving reassured, she's leaving that space with a lot of hope. I've seen young girls broken, telling their stories about how they have been raped. And by the time they walk out of our facility, they believe in themselves all over again. They believe that it's not their fault. So we have to believe the survivor story. When your child walks up to you, your home should be a safe place. Your daughter should be able to come to you, "Mommy, I have a problem. This is what happened." The first thing that should not come out of your mouth as a mom or as a dad is not to blame her. The matter is, rape is not a normal behavior. Every form of gender-based violence is never going to be a normal behavior. So we should not come from that place of making it normal, accepting it. No. Every perpetrator should be seen as a perpetrator. It doesn't matter if the person is related to you. So oftentimes, you see a young girl during a program we're implementing. The Warif Educational School program is for adolescent girls. And why do we do that? Because we need to prevent GBV. When we go into schools, we train these girls and empower them to do what? To understand what a safe place is. To understand how to unmask an abuser. To understand who to refer a case to and how to refer a case. Then we train adolescent boys. We call it the Warif Boys Conversation Cafe, adolescent boys in school. Why? Because Conversation Cafe, adolescent boys in school. Why? Because these are the same boys. If they are not trained, if the narrative is not changed, this girl that we spend so much time training, empowering, getting her into a safe place, comes back to this young man. She will either have that guy as a classmate, she will either have him as a colleague in the office, or somebody in the marketplace. Now, if the narrative around that gentleman is not changed, it becomes a vicious circle. The abuse continues. So for us, we look at it from an holistic angle that, one, the girl child needs to be protected. We do our intervention, that is the Warif Center, where they receive a safe place, they receive free medical care and psychosocial care. Then we go back into the community. That is the preventive arm of our organization, where we now empower people to identify what sexual and gender-based violence is and how to protect themselves. When you go through this route, you find out that this girl is not only empowered, but she will come from a place of information. She will be able
inspire and to change the world. For it is the end. For in the end, it is not the crisis to change the world. For it is the end. For in the end, it is not the crisis that define us. It's the unwavering commitment that will lead us forward into a brighter and more radiant future. Thank you and have a blessed day.
Thank you very much.
I want to speak out in the year 2020, after the birth of my last child. In the year 2020, after the birth of my last child.
Okay, be married to him for how long?
11 years. I was married to him for 11 years.
11 years. So when was the point where you said, no more, I'm not doing this anymore?
Okay, when he started starving I and the children of food and peace, he would refast that, and he likes to keep malice. And during that time, he doesn't even speak to his children.
To the
yes.
children.
Yes.
So, at what point did you discover that, no, this is not what you want? Because, no, there are a lot of women who go through this and you still see them smile all out because they are afraid of societal stigma. I don't want people to know what I'm going through, or I don't want to be stigmatized, single mom, or her marriage failed. At what point did you feel, no, this is not it for me. I'm choosing my life over marriage?
In 2019. So I was in